To begin creating a purchase order for assets, you can start by either coming up to the Orders ribbon at the top of the screen and selecting Purchase Order, or by selecting the List/Orders folder in the folder tree and then selecting the asset purchase order from there, or finally by just clicking on the purchase order icon that's located in the life cycle. Once on the asset purchase order screen, the first step will be to click the New button in the top right to generate a new purchase order. Next, you'll decide what the order date is by clicking on the drop-down menu for the calendar and selecting that day from the calendar itself. Next, you can create a purchase order number by either activating a barcode generator, and that's going to sit just to the right of the purchase order number field like I have here, and that will create sequential numbers for each new purchase order. Or if you're manually entering those purchase order numbers, you can do so by typing that purchase order number into the text box here. Next, you can choose the supplier from which you're going to order. That can be done by clicking in the drop-down menu and selecting them from there. Or if you don't see the supplier in the list, click the plus button and you can add a new supplier. Or you can search through a list of available suppliers in the system by clicking the magnifying glass and either performing a search for a specific supplier or selecting them from the list and then choosing the Select and Return button. Next, if you need to specify a ship to address, you can do so by either, again, clicking on the drop-down menu, adding a new address by clicking the plus button, or searching through a list of available addresses by clicking the magnifying glass. Next, you can, if you need to, specify an expected delivery date, as well as a date when the shipment is due. Now, once you've specified the expected delivery date as well as the due date, on the General tab below, you can specify the assets that have been ordered on this purchase order. To do so, you can either click the drop-down menu and select it from the list, or you can click into the menu itself and type that option in and have it auto-populate so you can select it. Or, again, use the magnifying glass to search through a list of available assets, or click the plus button to add the new asset to the system. Once you've specified the quantities, at that point you can select the taxable checkbox to mark if it's taxable or not. And then moving to the Documents tab, if there's any documentation that needs to be attached to this order, then you can do so by selecting the drop-down menu, choosing the item from the list, and clicking the Add button, or click on the plus button, and that will help you to browse your computer and you can select it from there. Or, again, search through a list of available documentation by clicking the magnifying glass. If there's any notes that need to be added to the purchase order about this order, then you can do so on the Notes tab. Once you have all the information complete, at that point you can click Save. And now we can see that the new purchase order has been generated here below, and in the screen above we see the items on that purchase order. To create additional purchase orders, click the button that says New and follow that same process. Now, if you need to make any changes to an existing purchase order, you can click the Edit button, and this will allow you to modify the purchase order. Once you've completed that, click Update, and that will save any changes that you've made. If you need to print out any of the purchase orders, you can click the Print button, and once you click the Print button, we can now see that the purchase order has been created. It has our PO number, the ship to address, as well as the supplier where we're receiving the items, the line items on the purchase order, as well as the unit prices and the total for that purchase order. The purchase orders can also be emailed by clicking on the Email button and then choosing the format in which you want to email that purchase order. Once you've selected that, click Email. And now we can see that the purchase order has attached itself to Outlook, which is my email client, and it's ready to be sent to whoever I address it to. You can also set up a specific format to be applied to that purchase order, and that can be set up within the reporting section. To apply that format, just choose the Format button, select the format that you'd like from the list, and then choose OK. And finally, while in the purchase order screen here, you can also view any existing purchase orders by clicking All. You can see just the open ones by clicking Open, and any closed purchase orders you can view as well by clicking the radio button for Closed.